Good morning, everyone, and happy Wednesday. The market is pulling back a little bit today, but I am not surprised at all, Tom. I don't know about you, but after the giant uptrend that we've seen over the past couple days, I think this is a pretty reasonable pullback.
Yeah, me too. And it's not even that bad of a pullback yet. We're not even really to the opening price of yesterday. We're pretty close to it though. But yeah, the SPY is going to open pretty close down there to that 446 resistance, or I should say support. So we'll have to see how this ends up playing out today. But I would not be surprised if we also continued pulling back, Mike. I've been seeing a lot of these tech stocks like Apple pulling back down this morning around support. So we'll have to see if they end up holding up. It would be awesome if these stocks continued flying up, Mike. But whenever you have, like we talked about yesterday, Square going up like 40 or 50% in just a few days, it's pretty telling there. So we're going to have to be really careful trading these stocks to the upside today. I really feel like that today might be the day we finally see a nice pullback at least. And then maybe by Friday, we'll start moving back up.
Yeah, I can see that as well. It's just like when you have stocks, just like you said, like Square up 50 or 60% in a couple days, it's just like how the market works. Like you normally have a pullback, and you could say the same thing about Roblox or Palantir or whatever. But either way, we are definitely seeing that pullback right now. My watch list is basically all red. Looking at Tom, I was gonna look at the heat map for the S&P 500 again, but I remember it's like messed up on Thinkorswim. Like I looked at it again today, and it's saying like Tesla's in the green by 8%, JP Morgan's in the green by 2%, but I don't know what's going on with that tool.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. I'll try to find the FinViz one, but I know that one's delayed, so it's not even open right now. So that's a negative about the FinViz one. But yeah, I mean, it sucks to see that heat map is not working the right way, because those things are really cool to look at, Mike. But today, all I'm seeing pretty much is energy doing well again. ZOM is really breaking to the upside once again today. I bet you Warren Buffett's jumping up and down this morning. He's going to go to Starbucks or get some special coffee today. I mean, look at this. Oxy's almost back up to that high of this week. It actually just broke above it, up to 62.50 here. So yeah, the oil plays are really running up, Mike. I know we talked about Halliburton a little bit last week too. They're starting to fly up, and even crude oil itself is up another 4%.
There we go. Yeah, OXY is definitely blasting up, and just like you said, Tom, crude oil is also running up too. So that's very interesting. And we have, we have Sean saying, "Morning, guys. Sounds like you are echoing." And then B Trading said, "YouTube is having trouble with their live streams." So, yeah, I'm not really too sure what the problem is. I just double-checked all of our settings. It's like the same settings as always, so I'm not really too sure. I mean, like I said, B Trading said that YouTube is having trouble with their live stream, so hopefully it fixes itself, but I'll definitely I'll mess around with some of the settings just to make sure. But yeah, Tom, do you have any setups you're eyeing up?
Yeah, this is really nice to see these crude oil plays flying up, but I know AMC, Mike, has been having a day. I know last night AMC exploded up above $20, and this morning it pulled right back down to like that $19, I guess I could say $18.50 to $19 support. There's been a lot of touches around here, but AMC, Mike, had a pretty great night last night. And looking at it on the daily, it's starting to really extend back up off that lower support, just like what we're seeing with a lot of other growth plays. And AMC isn't doing the best today so far. It's probably going to pull back like a lot of stocks have been so far, but looking at AMC today, it definitely had a lot of momentum last night, so keep it on the radar. I know GameStop did pretty well last night in after hours as well, so it's pretty crazy to see these hype plays continuing to move up like this, Mike. And AMC is actually climbing my watch list here as it's up 3.6%, but I will say it is on kind of a pullback here from last night.
Good stuff. Yeah, still it's big though. Over the past couple of trading days, AMC went from like 14.20 all the way up to just under 21, and that's definitely a big run up. And just like you said, in after hours it was even running up quite a bit, and then even GameStop is up a good amount.
Yeah, it really is. GameStop itself is up even more than AMC. It's up 5%. So yeah, it's really starting to run up today. I know also, Mike, we saw those marijuana stocks doing very well last night, like Tilray. And we can see Tilray is kind of popping back up here at open. hopefully we continue to see this good movement out of the marijuana stocks. It's been a long time since these stocks have moved up. Like, let's look at Tilray on a max daily chart, because it looks kind of crazy actually to see how much crazy movement this one has had over the past like 3 years. But looking at it, Mike, it's starting to form a really nice support down here at the bottom, especially right around $5 a share. So looking pretty good here on a nice move back to the upside. Maybe we'll see some nice news or something come across soon, since we're seeing a lot of these stocks go up. It's not just Tilray. You know, we actually saw the MJ ETF do very well this morning, along with CGC and a couple others. So it seems like all the marijuana stocks are getting a nice uptrend here, and I'm honestly not seeing too much news yet.
True. Yeah, that's interesting. I've been looking a lot at MSOS. This is basically like the U.S. Marijuana stocks, you can say, and that one's up a little bit. But then again, this ETF is like sometimes it's good, but most of the time it's bad.
Yeah, I mean, how can it be good lately with the way these marijuana stocks have been going down? I definitely feel you with that. And man, hopefully MSOS starts to go up a little bit. I'm going to try to look into some of their holdings really quick, Mike, because I actually just looked it up. I think I have it up here on the Yahoo article. So like, let's see what they have down here. So they're into Green Thumb, Curaleaf, Trulieve, looks like Cresco Labs. And yeah, that's pretty big, Mike. And I saw some pretty big news this morning about a possible company. It looks like Cresco Labs actually announced acquisition of Columbia Care for $2 billion. So I know MSOS is a holder of Cresco Labs, so that'll be pretty big for them, hopefully, if we see Cresco continue to shoot up like this.
Yeah, that's true. I'm trying to find... Okay, so Cresco Labs, Tom, is CRLBF. So CRLBF. Let's take a look. How have they been doing over like the past couple of months? Because I looked it up online and it says obviously it's publicly traded, vertically integrated cannabis and medical marijuana company based in Chicago with current retail operations in 9 states.
It looks like their max daily chart is actually not too bad here, Mike. I mean, we're not at lows, which is great. Obviously, it sucks that this stock's been falling down over the past 6 months, but every marijuana stock has been doing that, along with even the growth plays. So it's not necessarily Cresco Labs' fault here, but they are forming a nice support at like $5.20 here on CRLBF. It's honestly not looking like a bad setup, Mike. And with this acquisition, who knows? Maybe they'll start to go up here in the short term. Sometimes, though, the company making the purchase goes down, kind of like what we're seeing today, Mike. You know, the stock popped up and then now it's selling back off. Sometimes, obviously, the company might lose money or something in the short term, so keep that in mind. But overall, Mike, I personally like this setup. I think it looks pretty good, and you know, I'll have to do a fundamental deep dive on Cresco, but I know that some of these marijuana stocks might be some pretty good gambles down here, especially the U.S. ones, in my opinion. Like, I really like this setup, Mike, and I also like one of my favorites is PLNHF, which is Planet 13. It looks like they're kind of bouncing off that $2 support down there. So hopefully we see these U.S. stocks start to move back up in a nice way, and that acquisition might get it kickstarted. Who knows?
Yeah, true that. Alrighty. And then we have Sean saying Tesla's going. Let's take a look. TSLA. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like it's trying to run, but it's still red on the day so far. But, you know, this movement's pretty good.
Yeah, it is. It actually is. It has a nice extension back, and especially since we saw the SPY pull back this morning, I think Tesla held up very, very well so far. So looking pretty good. We got pretty close to that $1,000 resistance again, Mike, and who knows? Maybe we'll break 1,000 today and we'll have a nice pop. Maybe we'll break 1,000 and we'll fake out. But either way, $1,000 is going to be a big level for Tesla today, of course. And definitely keep this one on your radar, guys, because if we see it blast up through 1,000, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if this one went on a nice run, Mike, especially with how popular it's been.
Yeah, true that. All right, and then we have Keisha saying, do you think Powell will move the market today, being that he's mainly addressing crypto, digital coins, etc.? It's hard to say. It really depends on what he says. Honestly, no one can really accurately predict that because it just depends on what he says and how he says it, and it depends on how the market interprets it. So it's like, if I were to say yes or no to that question, honestly, it's just like a total guess, and no one really knows. So I'm just gonna wait and see. In the meantime, I am expecting just like a consolidation slash pullback day with most of these stocks, at least for the next couple days, considering how overextended a lot of them are to the upside. So that's like the main thing I have in mind. But of course, anything Powell says can change that.
Yeah, it definitely can. And I know he talked a little bit about the crypto there and some of these digital currencies. And I know that there's been a lot of talk about this lately, Mike. And I've even heard some, like, maybe not necessarily some reports, but I have seen some stuff going through the Federal Reserve and just Congress in general about exploring some of these cryptos and digital assets for the United States. So we'll have to see what Powell says. That could be a pretty big deal, Mike, possibly for Bitcoin and the crypto market. I know that Bitcoin has been honestly doing pretty well the past couple of weeks. We're back above 40,000 in a pretty big way. So maybe Powell will come out and have some positive words for some of these cryptos and stuff. But, I know the US has talked about kind of looking at their own digital currency, whether that's like a digital US dollar or something similar. I know they've talked about it a little bit. So we'll have to see what Powell says, Mike. And it's going to be an interesting speech today. I know yesterday, obviously, the market really liked what he had to say on Monday, and it started really ripping up yesterday. Initially, though, it sold off, Mike. So he was hawkish in the beginning, and the market didn't like it. But then the next day, it seemed like the market digested it very, very well. So it's kind of crazy to see how the market's been all over the place whenever he speaks.
True. All right. And then Keisha said LAC has been on a rip tear. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, it was running up for a second, but it's pulling back a little bit right now.
Yeah, it is. And we see these commodities just continue to go up, Mike. Like LAC, I know MOS is back on the uptrend today as well. Some of these potash plays, but just a lot of these stocks that follow commodities are really running up. I know GLD is doing pretty well today. Like we talked about earlier, crude oil is on a big tear. It's back up to 114.32. We're pretty far off that 130 high still, but crude oil is definitely on the uptrend again. And I wonder if we'll see some more updates come out of Russia today, Mike. I know we haven't really seen too many updates out of them in a couple of weeks. I know last week was a little bit crazy with it, but overall, I mean, there hasn't been too much major updates lately. I know initially, like whenever Russia first attacked, obviously our market got hit pretty hard and the SPY started selling off. But ever since we've went on this big uptrend, we haven't been hearing too much about it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, one stock that's just blasting up that doesn't even care about the market overall is Tesla. It's back above $1,000 a share. We have a lot of people hyped up about it in the comments. Yeah, it's blasting, Tom. It has some good momentum, good volume. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I love it, Mike. It's up above $1,000, and I'll tell you what, we gotta pull something up here really quick because we had Elon Musk here dancing last night, guys. He was dancing on camera. This is actually pretty funny here. I know Bloomberg Quick Take posted this last night, but man, I mean, I know Elon dancing is a pretty funny thing, Mike, and he's been in just a crazy CEO. I think Bloomberg might have taken this down, Mike.
It was like,
I gotta scroll all the way back or something because it like refreshed me now, I guess, because I didn't get on it soon enough. But let me go all the way back to yesterday. Here it is. Here he is. Look at this, guys. He's dancing right here on the screen. This is hilarious. I know Elon's been huge lately, and he's just one of those really influential CEOs. And whenever he does stuff like this, it's huge. And guys, this Tesla Gigafactory in Berlin is gonna be huge. They are expected to produce 500,000 vehicles annually at this factory. I mean, that is huge, guys. 500,000 vehicles annually. I'm not even sure Tesla produced 500,000 vehicles in all of last year. I'll have to look that up, but I thought the number was maybe like 300,000 or something, but we'll have to look. But either way, I mean, that is a lot of cars, Mike, and this will really help propel Tesla, in my opinion, especially over there in the European market.
Yeah. Yeah, let's see. So it looks like Tesla deliveries amounted to 308,000 in the fourth quarter, and then the and then the full year deliveries were like 936,000. So either way, whatever side you look at it from, this new factory will be huge for Tesla, and that's awesome. And it's always good to see Elon dancing like that.
Yeah, it is. He's a funny character, I'll tell you. He's like almost like something out of a movie. but it's awesome to watch what he does and everything he's been getting into, whether it's space or electric cars or everything. It also like helps out the world overall. So I'm really glad to see him being successful here, and obviously that new factory should help Tesla in a pretty big way. And they're back above $1,000. Looks like Tesla has some renewed hype here, and even on the daily chart, Mike, like Tesla's been forming some pretty nice support. So looking pretty good here on the daily, and we're starting to really get a nice breakout.
Good stuff. And then, Tom, we can't forget about the hype stocks, AMC and GME. They keep running up. AMC's up around 8.5% right now. While it's at its high of day, its high in after hours yesterday is still a giant resistance. So $20.80 was basically the high of after hours yesterday. And right now the stock's at like $19.75 for AMC. So it's creeping up there, but it still has some resistance.
Yeah, it definitely does. And I have a longer term resistance on them right around $20. So we'll have to see if that even ends up holding up at all here. Last night, they just blasted right up through that. So we'll have to see what happens today. But AMC definitely has that momentum so far today. And honestly, I hope it continues, Mike. There's actually a lot of volume coming in. Like, look at the volume candles here today compared to yesterday's open. Like, we're definitely seeing some more volume come in. So that's great to see. And hopefully we continue to see the nice momentum. Honestly, if AMC starts blasting up above $21, it would make me pretty ecstatic. And who knows, maybe we'll be able to catch some nice short-term day trades. And Mike, I also will feel really relieved for a lot of people who've been holding this one for a long time. I'm really curious to see who's been holding it forever, but either way, I'm glad to see it coming up for them, and hopefully it keeps going. You know, it might not come back to $40 or wherever if you're holding it from there, but hey, at least we're moving up in the short term.
Good stuff. And then how's GameStop?
GameStop's not bad either. It's honestly looking just as good, if not better even. It's up 15%. I know they had that great news where they were going to launch that NFT marketplace by the end of the second quarter this year. So that was pretty big that they announced that on their earnings. And ever since that earnings date, GameStop has been exploding. So I'm glad to see it. And hopefully this momentum keeps continuing because it's been really lagging behind, to say the least. And I'm glad to see it finally getting back up above some major resistances like 132 and then 140 here.
There we go. All right. And then we have Michael saying, better long-term buy in your guys' opinion, Apple or Google? That's a tough one. I would have to look more specifically at the valuations for each of these companies. Obviously, they're giant institutions. Like, they're both over $1 trillion. But it depends on the price you pay too. So I would have to do more research on the company's valuations right now to answer that question. So like I said, I just have to do more research to answer that question.
Yeah, it's a tough one. You know, I know Apple's done really good the past couple years, and you know, a lot of this also has to do like with looking into their future. You know, like obviously like Apple's going to have a lot of stuff changing in their future. They've been the king of phones for a long, long time, and hopefully that continues. You know, I hope that they keep blowing the phone market out of the water. I know Samsung's pretty big too, but I know Apple is seems like they're the king of phones anyways. They might not sell the most worldwide, but as we know, their market cap is far and ahead of most other companies. So definitely doing well with them. I know Google is very well off as well, Mike. Like they have YouTube that they're in. They have a lot of different things that they do with obviously Google, and then they have a lot of server capabilities and like web servicing and stuff like that. So hopefully we see Alphabet continue to do well, Mike. And as we know, Google has two different stocks. They have Goog, and then they have Google, I guess you could say, Googl. But it's kind of cool to see how they have two tickers like that. It's kind of like how Berkshire has Berk A and Berk B, isn't it, Mike?
Yeah, it's pretty similar.
Yeah, it's pretty similar, but either way, I mean, their future should be pretty bright for both of them. Honestly, Mike, it's kind of like a coin flip with these two companies. They're both really, really solid, and I would say I like Apple a little bit better, you know, personally, but I will say Google's probably a pretty solid one to get into as well, especially since they have YouTube and everything like that.
Yeah, and they have that split coming up too, so it's like, if we're being realistic, it's like, let's say 5 or 10 years from now or 20 years from now, you know, if Apple might be up a total of, I don't even know, let's say 80% is like a random number. Google might be up like 75% or 85%. Like normally they're pretty similar in how they move, especially given the fact that Google will be traded at a lower price now because of the upcoming split. So it's like honestly it's not a giant difference. It's not like comparing like like Carnival Cruise Lines to Tesla. Like those are like completely different things where Apple and Google they normally move together. So I'll have to take a look at the valuations for both of those companies, but they basically move the same way. And then we have Raymond saying long NEO or short it today. Let's see. NIO. You see, what's interesting is we have a lot of stocks selling off today, but some of these stocks that are rising, Tom, are actually like Baba's one of them. It's up 0.3% today, and it was just running up a couple minutes ago. So what's interesting is we have a lot of growth stocks selling off, but then we have like some of the China stocks running up, and NEO is a Chinese growth stock, so it's kind of like a mix there. I'm leaning more towards the short side today just because I believe that a lot of these growth stocks specifically are overbought in the short term, considering some of them moved up like 50% over the past 5 days. So I'm leaning more towards the downside, but then again, what Powell says and how the market moves can definitely change that. But overall, looking at all of the movement right now, it's definitely like weighted more to the downside. So I would say downside.
Yeah, me too. I would also lean to the downside today, especially given how much we've been going up lately. You'd almost just have to look for a pullback at some point here. And, I will say NEO fell a little bit at market open. It fell down to $21, kind of tested that support and held its ground. And it's starting to fall back down to retest that $21 support once again. So be wary of that support as we come up on it. But I would say I also lean to the downside, Mike. We just had too many nice green days in a row out of NEO, out of XPEV, out of LI. All these Chinese EV companies have been exploding. And I know that Baba had a nice gap up today, Mike, along with JD didn't, but I know Baidu had a pretty nice move earlier this morning. I should say like right when pre-market open, but they are kind of pulling back here. So I would definitely kind of look at Lucid or not Lucid, Mike. Look at
NEO.
NEO. Yeah, NEO. Too many EV companies going through my head here. I was thinking of XPEV, but yeah, NEO to the downside. That's going to be big, obviously, today, and I think that we'll see it. We tested that 21 support, which is huge, and if we break below 21, I think that we'll fall around $20. I think $20 is a big psychological level there, especially out of these growth plays. And it's not just NEO, Mike. Like lots of growth plays have been straddling $20 lately.
Yeah, true. All right. And then we have Keisha saying, hit the like button, guys. Yeah, let's go. So if you guys like today's stream, it would mean so much to us if you could smash that like button. It only takes 2 seconds, and Tom and I really do appreciate it. But yeah, thank you guys so much for being here today. What else do we have going on? Let's see. Michael mentioned CRM, Tom. He said, what about CRM for the long term? Any levels to look at? Salesforce, I mean, they're definitely a leader in their industry. I've heard many, many great things about Salesforce. I guess you could say over the past year they fell a lot, but then again, like all growth stocks fell a good amount. But overall, I mean, it's a company I heard a lot of great things about. They're growing at a rapid pace. I have not bought this company specifically, but if I were, I would definitely eye up like that, I guess you could say like 190 support.
Yeah, 190 is going to be big on this one, and we don't always see 1,000 SMA bounces here, but look at this red 1,000 SMA down here. The last time Salesforce touched this was back on, let's get the exact date here, back on, it looks like March 18th of 2020, which is right around a year ago. And then just about a month ago, we touched this 1,000 SMA once again, and we started to come back up to the upside off of this bottom level. So looks like there's a nice support forming down there for sure, Mike, right around 190 like you mentioned, and even $200 a share will probably be pretty big over the next few days. I will say though, ever since this nice uptrend over the past week, we did just get rejected at a big resistance around 222. There's been multiple rejections at that level, and we did hit that and start to fly down. So maybe for the next couple days, we'll have to look at this one to the downside. But I'm with you. I'll definitely be eyeing this one up for a nice longer term play as well. And looking at it on the chart, I really like the setup. I like that 1,000 SMA bounce, and I like the moves off of support. So hopefully we continue to see this one hold up. And to be honest, Mike, I think if we continue to see just the growth sector overall go up, I think we'll see CRM recover in a pretty nice way.
Yeah, I agree. All right, and then checking back in with these hype stocks, Tom, like AMC and GME, looks like they're pulling back just a little bit.
Yeah, they are. It looks like AMC hit right around $20. It did run up a little bit higher to like 2040, and then we pulled right back down below it. So definitely eye these ones up, guys. It's going to be a tough trade today. They're all over the place, and they're getting rejected at those pre-market resistance levels. So that's going to be tough on AMC's case. Looking at GameStop, it also kind of got rejected at that pre-market resistance. So it's going to be a hard one to trade today, Mike. But maybe if we see a breakout of like that pre-market, or I should say of that after hours high, then we'll start to see another crazy run to the upside. But as of right now, it's going to be a tough one to trade, especially with that IV on GameStop rising back up to 150% now.
Yeah, true that. And then I'm very, very glad you brought that up, because we're seeing the IV really pop up. And yes, like the stock is up a respectable amount today, but like normally when stocks fall, you see IV rise. But in the hype stocks case, it's when stocks rise, IV rises. Basically what this means is, we're seeing IV rise right now because people are saying, oh wow, AMC and GameStop rose a lot yesterday, and now it looks like they have their momentum back. So people are buying up options, and they're paying a nice premium for them. So basically, that's why we're seeing IV move the way it is. So it's interesting, there's definitely, how do I say this? Like, there's definitely increased hype with AMC and GME right now compared to like the past couple of days, and these stocks ultimately move off of hype. Definitely not fundamentals. These ones specifically, I want to correct that. These stocks specifically move off of hype, not fundamentals, but most other stocks, it's the other way around.
Yeah, and as we know, lots of stocks move with hype in the short term a lot, like Tesla, and anything can happen in the short term. But I feel like, Mike, would you agree that fundamentals definitely play out better longer term and hype is more of like a shorter term thing?
Yeah, I agree. I think that's a great way to put it, Tom. Hype can influence like any company in the short term. Just like you said, even Tesla has this happen to it. DraftKings, Palantir, any company can get hyped to the upside or the downside in the short term. But at the end of the day, the fundamentals will ultimately be what drives the stock price over long periods of time.
Yeah, definitely. And, it's all those big investors getting in and stuff like that, too. And, of course, we can't forget about the big hedge funds and the algorithms and everything, too. So there's so much that we have to look at. But, yeah, I feel you, Mike. And looking at, DraftKings and stuff today, I know you just mentioned it whenever we were talking about Tesla and some of those other hype plays. But look at this. It's actually starting to fall back down today. I know that we've been expecting a pullback for a couple days now, but DraftKings, it's just always sad to see it coming down. I know it's still hovering around $19, but definitely coming back to the downside today in a pretty big way. I know I see some of these chip stocks like MU are pulling back pretty big today, along with NVIDIA. AMD's actually starting to fall below support of yesterday around 113.50. So that's pretty bad to see that. Even some of these big EV companies, Mike, like Rivian and Lucid are really starting to tank off here today. So yeah, today is definitely the pullback that we've been waiting for. And, I will say that is for price action. In price action's case, I'm glad this is happening because I would rather this happen now than us shoot up and then have a random flash crash out of nowhere. So I'm glad that it's just, slow and steady and mixed on the way up. As we know, stocks generally don't just go straight up. There's always a couple red days mixed in, even on some of the best uptrends that there's been.
Yeah, very true. Great point there. We're also seeing Boeing continue lower. This one is on my low ticker. It's at its low of day. It's down like 2.5%. And I will say I was a little bit surprised on how Boeing recovered yesterday, but it's basically giving all of those gains right back.
Yeah, it is. I was surprised to see how much this one came up as well. They had that really bad news the day before of that plane crash over there in China. And, that's terrible whenever you have a plane crash like that with no survivors. And then the stock just kept recovering back. And I was kind of thinking in my head, like what's going on here? did everybody see that news and they shorted it? So then the market just had to go against everybody or something? Like, I don't know what happened there, but it definitely flew up for a couple of days and recovered all the way back. Got rejected though, right at that resistance at like 192. And then we came right back to the downside. And I am seeing some new news out of China today. They did announce that one of the plane's black boxes was found, and they are saying that they are expecting to find maybe some pilots' voice recordings and stuff like that in those. And that'll give a pretty big clue on what was happening, because obviously we don't have too much info on the whole situation right now. But keep in mind that this could get worse, because if they find that this was Boeing's issue or some type of software glitch or something like that, that's going to be bad news for Boeing, just like it was over the past couple of years. I know we've been seeing bad news with their planes and those 737 Maxes, especially I think from some other country, Mike. Like, I can't remember the exact country, but there was some other plane crashes that happened over the past couple of years. So this could definitely negatively affect them if this news continues to come out against them.
Yep, true that. So looking at some other stocks right now, we have Nvidia also breaking lows. It is down around 3.5% today. It's looking not the best, to say the least. SPY's breaking lower. Yeah, I mean, we're definitely seeing selling pressure, but just like we said this morning, Tom, like, it's just kind of how the market works when you have uptrends like this.
Yeah, it's expected today. And, we've been talking about these pullbacks for the past couple of days. So people shouldn't be too surprised by them at this point. But, I guess obviously we always want the uptrend to continue, Mike. But it looks like the only thing continuing the uptrend today is oil. But I'll be honest, even like Oxy, it ran a lot at open and then it's starting to fall back off. So we're definitely not seeing too much upwards momentum out of many stocks today. I wonder how some of these safer stocks are doing, or I shouldn't say safer, but slower movers like Kraft Heinz. Looks like they're doing pretty well, up 1%. And I know Coca-Cola's been doing well. They're actually approaching this resistance around $61, Mike. So KO's not looking bad. What are some of the other ones? Like Caterpillar for some value stocks, maybe Pepsi. Yeah, these ones are looking pretty good today, actually. But keep in mind, they're just so slow of movers. Sometimes it's tough to play them.
Yeah, true that. True that. It looks like Square's finally pulling back, Tom. That one was one of the craziest growth stock recovery plays, but it is good to see it pulling back. Like, I know it kind of sucks when you hold it long term, but still, it's good to see it pull back.
Yeah, I know last week I said I love Square's setup and I thought it would be bullish, but I didn't think it'd be this bullish, Mike. Like, I didn't think we'd be breaking and heading up to 150 today. I think I mentioned 150 a little bit last week, but I was kind of joking around. I didn't really think we'd get there that quick. But hey, it only took a couple of days and we did get pretty close. But yeah, we're definitely back on the downtrend. And kind of like what we said earlier today, Mike, we might need to expect a couple of days of pullbacks. Like Square's up over 50% over the past 6 trading days. So I could almost see maybe 1 or 2 red days here, depending on how red they become. Even though Square's down 4% today, Mike, look at the daily chart. It looks like we haven't really fallen off at all. I would not be surprised if Square maybe came down and retested maybe 130 over the next day, or maybe even 125 or something like that. I think we could see a little bit more of a pullback than what we're seeing now.
Yeah, I agree. For sure. All right. Well, we basically covered all the hottest moving stocks so far today, Tom. Do you have any setups you think I might have missed, or anything you're looking at, or anything?
Yeah, I mean, just a lot of these stocks are continuing to fall off today. It's unfortunate. I know a lot of these metaverse plays I've been pretty hyped up with lately, like Unity and Matterport and stocks like that, and they are really pulling back today. So I just want to say, for the next couple of days, be careful. We've been on a nice uptrend, and I'm sure a lot of people are still trying to buy into calls, and a lot of people are probably seeing this uptrend, and then they're going to see this small red day today, and they're probably thinking in their heads, hey, it's time to buy the dip. But just keep in mind, we could have a couple of days worth of downtrend here. We might pull back a little bit more, so I would definitely be a little bit wary of that. But I'm glad to see these stocks continuing to, just have good price action, Mike. Even though it's down today, I feel like the price action is definitely good. We're still on a nice uptrend, in my opinion. Even though we're having one red day, that doesn't mean that we're necessarily back on the downtrend or anything like that. And I was really happy to see Tesla continue up today, Mike. And it looks like it's continuing to hold its ground. And honestly, over the past couple minutes, it's moving back up. So maybe we'll see this one continue to break out. That would make for some amazing day trades, possibly, Mike. I know yesterday I saw a lot of amazing posts in the profit channel, and people were killing it on Tesla. So great trades to the upside on this one, guys.
Yeah, awesome. How about Apple's action though, Tom? Like, while we see a lot of stocks tanking down, like Apple is just saying, nah, new highs.
Yeah, you're definitely right. This one's breaking out of that high of yesterday. We might break out above 170 today, Mike. Like this one's really running up, and I was kind of eyeing Apple up to the downside today. This one was actually my free day trade. I had it if we passed above 170, it could be good for calls. Be careful up here, guys. You know, we might see a fake out with this one with the way the SPY is pulling back, but I mean, I'm happy to see this one running, Mike. I wonder how Apple or how Microsoft is doing in comparison. And wow, Microsoft's kind of selling back off. So interesting to see those ones going against each other today. But you're right. I mean, Apple has a lot of momentum for some reason. And I'm going to check the Thinkorswim news tab to see if there's any news or anything like that going on. I did see something today that came up. Let's see the news really quick, Mike. It says Apple acquires UK banking startup in potential hint at international Apple Card launch. So that could be pretty big. I know Apple's talked a lot about integrating cards onto their iPhones and stuff like that. So maybe this will be pretty big for them if they get into the like if they make an app like an international version of their Apple Card. That'll obviously open up a lot of the marketplace for them.
Yeah, I actually saw this article on CNBC this morning. It was like credit. It was like credit something. Apple acquired them.
Yeah,
In
let's
the
see
UK.
if I can find it on here really quick. I know I can find it on Google for sure. Yeah, here we go. Credit Kudos is what it's called.
Yeah. That's exactly it. So I think that's the specific company they acquired. But yeah, I mean it's interesting. You know, I'm sure that it's a very strategic acquisition on Apple's part. Normally they're a very strategic and smart, innovative company. So I'm curious to see what they have in store for the next couple of months and the next couple of years.
Yeah, I mean, leave it up to Apple. You know, they're continuing to innovate. I've heard them talking a lot about also integrating those cards onto their phones, like I mentioned, and they're getting a lot into this financial sector. So it seems like Apple's just continuing to just stay up into those headlines, Mike. Like they're such an innovative company, and they always keep themselves on top, which is just amazing. That's why their market cap is so high, and that's why they're one of the best companies in the world. So I'm glad to see them running up. They just broke above 170, which was my level in pre-market to watch. So definitely be on the lookout for Apple. Hopefully we see a nice breakout, but I will say the movement's been very nice this far, and it's been a great morning for Apple, Mike. Like you said, a lot of stocks are down. So to see Apple running, that's really showing some strength there.
Yeah. Check out AMC, Tom. This thing just did a complete, like, 180.
Oh, it did. Yeah, we're moving down now in a major way, and we got rejected right around that $20 resistance again. So definitely not good today. We had a lot of volume coming in right at market open, and over the past few minutes, the volume's been slowly getting lower, and the stock's starting to fall off. Even the IV's falling off here. So, man, it's not looking good right now. Let's see GameStop. Yeah, GameStop's starting to fall over too. Not as rapidly as AMC, but they're both kind of pulling back here. And man, I know that we've also been seeing these stocks move up over the past week, Mike, in a major way. So I wouldn't be surprised if these ones pulled back too.
Yep. Alrighty. Well, I'm trying to like find some new news, Tom. Like we covered all the hot plays. Tesla's running up, but that's basically it. Are you seeing anything else?
Yeah, let's see. Well, here's some big news today. Let's see. There's actually something live going on where it says Intel and Micron CEOs are going to be testifying before the Senate on semiconductor chip manufacturing. So that might be pretty big, Mike. I know Intel's been building a huge factory in the United States. I know Micron has also had a lot of hype lately, and Pelosi's in Micron, isn't she, Mike?
Yes.
Look at this. Micron's testifying before the Senate, and I know Pelosi's like the Speaker of the House, I believe, but either way, I mean, she'll probably be listening in on this one in a pretty big way. And, you know, since this is one of those stocks she holds, we might see some volatility out of Micron and Intel later on.
Yeah, that's a good point. No doubt about that. I'm just trying to see.
Actually, Intel's having a pretty good day, but Micron is really selling off. So kind of interesting to see them kind of reversing each other like this. I will say, I know Intel likes to go up whenever AMD falls. So maybe that's part of the reason why Intel is doing well today.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. Like, I was really eyeing up Intel for some short put options sometime soon, but I'm just very on the fence with it. Like, I see a lot of pros doing it, but I don't know. I haven't pulled the trigger yet. Like
You said on Intel?
Yeah, on Intel.
Yeah, I mean, Intel's like right around that big support level at the bottom, like right around $43.50. We've touched this a ton of times, probably like 6 or 7 times, and we did just touch it again. It does worry me that at some point we might fall below this support, and if that does happen, I'll be pretty worried about Intel in the short term, but I hope we just continue to see a nice move up. Like you said, it's hard to pull a trigger or hard to pull the trigger on Intel whenever we have stocks like AMD and Nvidia moving so well off their bottom supports also. So I see what you mean. And there's also a lot of other growth stocks out there that, are probably going to grow a little bit more than Intel will. So looking at it, I see why it's hard to pull the trigger too. And like I said, there's been a lot of big news lately with Intel building stuff in the United States. Look at this morning, Intel CEO Pat Gelsinger, I believe that's how you say it. He said the U.S. must act now on semiconductor manufacturing, and that's right before he's going to be speaking to the Senate later on. So we'll have to see what happens, but hopefully we see some nice movement out of Intel. And I will say the way that Intel's been investing in the United States is pretty big. If we start seeing some nice like contracts between Intel and the government or something like that, I think that would be really good, a really good scenario. And it's always good to see, like, I know President Trump was big on Intel being more in the United States, along with Trump was big on them being here too. So it's good to see both sides looking at it. So in my opinion, that's a plus, but I'm with you. A lot of these other stocks are pretty good too, like AMD. So hopefully we see the semiconductors do well. And this is going to be a pretty interesting talk with the Senate later. I'm really curious to see what they have to say about Micron and Intel both.
Alrighty. So, yeah, I think we basically covered everything. Do you have any last minute setups you're watching?
I will say a couple of these safer plays, like I talked about earlier, some of these value stocks are doing pretty good today. At least they were earlier. Kind of like KHC, KO is right around resistance, guys. Like, if we see KO move up above $61, we might see a bit of a breakout here. I don't expect anything explosive out of KO. Maybe a nice like 1% move or something like that. But either way, it would make for some nice movement if we did see some nice breakouts today. So definitely eye up KO. As far as plays to the upside, Mike, this is really all I'm seeing today besides Apple.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for joining. Shout out Keisha, B Trading, Michael, Hunter, Sean, Vicky, Raymond, Carlos, J Deep, Iranical, and Raymond and George. So I think that's everyone. Thank you guys so much for joining today's stream. Stocks are definitely mixed today. Some stocks are running up, like Apple and Tesla, and most other stocks are in the red and falling. So keep that in mind. A lot of these growth stocks are definitely overbought. Besides that, thank you guys so much for watching, and have a great rest of your day.